Well, I'll just kick it off. Feeling a little under the weather. I might finally be getting sick. Might finally be catching the crap that's been haunting the rest of my family for the last 2 weeks or so. Slurpee is also he's off for the evening, so no participation from Slurpee tonight. Wednesday, additional thoughts time. I was going to split these two videos. I was going to do one for Liquid Swords and one for Gray Area, but I realized at the last minute, I was like, I need to do it together because both albums, all tracks, hearts, top to bottom. And that to me is very impressive. It's impressive to come across an album where every track has a heart. I gotta go back to saying jams too, especially if I'm gonna start doing jam merch. I gotta start saying jams again. But to have two albums where every song gets a heart, I'm like, holy shit. And something else that's interesting to me anyway is this album, Liquid Swords, all hearts, 36 Chambers, all hearts. So as of right now, and my listening experience with Wu-Tang, they are batting 1,000, which is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Which means I guess I'll start with Liquid Swords. I was thinking about it this morning when I was driving into work and I was listening to it again. I was like, God damn, do I like this more than 36 Chambers? Is it better than 36 Chambers? And like on one hand, I feel like it's dumb to say the albums are too different from each other to compare them directly because it's the same guys. But the energy is different. The energy between 36 Chambers and this is different. The delivery is different. The style is different. The production's different. You know, it's strange how it's the same group of people. I forget when 36 Chambers came out. This came out in 95, Liquid Swords. I think Chambers was 94. I mean, close to each other in terms of when they released. And they can be so different, which is cool. But still have that same just feel. It's still the Wu-Tang, you know? And so it's really fucking impressive. Really impressive. What do I have? I got some notes. I was able to take some notes this week. A lot of people left comments about Liquid Swords equals the tongue being the sword that you'd use to cut down your enemies, you know, lyrically with on the mic and stuff like that. There was this great comment. I didn't write down who left it. I should have. I apologize, but thank you. The album is about fighting lyrically with your sword/tongue. Track 1 is fighting MCs. Track 2, fighting the industry. 3 is fighting adversary MCs. 4 is fighting for dominance. 5, fighting a cold and vicious world. 6, fighting the music industry. 7, fighting for social and historical respect. 8, fighting for rap supremacy. 9, fighting for drug rap game dominance. 10, fighting the system, past and present. 11, fighting false beliefs and doubters. 12, fighting against childhood trauma and trust issues. And 13, fighting against organized religion. And it's pretty cool. I didn't really break it down in that sense in terms of the samurai taking the fight to these different elements, you know. But when I read that, I was like, this is pretty bitchin'. So thank you for that, whoever that was. I apologize for not. I should have wrote down your name. Which reminds me, something else that occurred to me the other day, I think yesterday, I said, I realized, how come I don't write down like my favorite lyrics from an album? I've been brainstorming a little bit on how do I want to improve additional thoughts as I go into next year. And I start doing things that are a little bit more closer to, well, not more closer to review, but have some review elements in them for when I do real-time album drops next year. And I was thinking, I got to start mentioning some of my favorite lyrics, especially as a guy who loves lyrics, right? So I was going to call them BFBs, Bob's Favorite Bars, whatever, right? Liquid Swords, title track, lyrics are weak like clock radio speakers. Great line. Love that line. And then, of course, off of the fourth chamber, I mentioned this in the reaction too. You can see the weakness of a man right through his iris. Fucking killer lines. Killer lines. I love those lines. Really good. It always kind of like grabs my ear when I hear him again. Oh, there it is. There's my line that I like so much. Lots of good comments about the final track, which I learned was a bonus track. The original album of Liquid Swords did not have Bible, which kind of put me in this whole tizzy because on one hand, I think that's the album without it is brilliant because it ends with that sample of the guy, breathing out his neck and suffocating because he got killed by the sword or the liquid sword, the tongue, right? And so the Wu-Tang's victorious in that respect. But then Bible is such an important track. It's a really interesting song. It seemed like everybody had a pretty good idea of it is this conversion from religion, but the religion that he's converting to, the 5% thing, I didn't look it up. I was reading the comments that people were leaving, and it was kind of interesting, but that's why I was a little confused, just because I hadn't really heard of that before, and it seemed like that religion pulls from different things and makes their own, and some people were saying, yeah, it's kind of a strange system of a belief or unusual or whatever. Anyway. But then, of course, I missed the very big, and I suppose obvious now that I realize it, the abbreviation of, I didn't write down the words, but Bible is an acronym for basic instructions before leaving Earth. And then in the verse, he's got that one line, and it's an acronym for peace. And there's even another acronym in there. I would have never caught that, even though I should have, because it was kind of obvious once you realize what's going on. So that was kind of cool that they worked that in there, which then led me into another thing about how, and the back half of the album was kind of struggling a little bit with the songs just because the lyrics seemed to be all over the place. And people were leaving comments saying, well, no, Wu-Tang focuses more on wordplay and just kind of different things, more to sound cool than necessarily tell a coherent story or have deeper layers or, double meanings, something like that. And I found, someone messaged me this article about, the vocabulary, the word count, the variety of words that exist across different artists. And like on one hand, DMX was like way at the bottom, which was really interesting to see because you get into that argument of, does using a lot of different fancy words necessarily make it better if you can get the point across in a straightforward fashion with fewer words, And I always enjoy that debate, that discussion, because, it's really about conveying the meaning. It's not about making it fancy. But if you don't make it entertaining to hear, then it's boring and you lose interest. So it just, it goes back and forth. But Wu-Tang is way on the other side, like almost towards the end in terms of maximizing the vocabulary and the variety of words that they use with their songs, which I like. I like it when people get outside the box and really challenge themselves in understanding that concept, understanding that they do go into songs and kind of spiral into this whole wordplay thing of bouncing around and using all these different words rather than focusing on telling a story. Okay, cool. And, for people who maybe aren't into that, I make it analogous to, a guitar solo where the guy's really just kind of putting a lot of flourish into the solo rather than maybe, playing it clean or, whatever. It's when I think of lyrics and I think of rapping and it being its own type of instrument, then the wordplay concept really folds in there. And it's easier for me to buy into and understand and agree with the idea of using lots of different words just for the sake of using different words. So there you go. What else? I think that's really it for Liquid Swords. Going back to if I like it more than 36 Chambers or not, I think really it just depends on what mood you're in. If you want something that's a little bit more rowdy, something that's going to bring the motherfucking ruckus, perhaps, you're going to put on 36 Chambers, and you're going to get some great instructions on how to protect your neck and things like that. But if you want something that's kind of like lean and sleek and cold like a sword, you're going to put on Liquid Swords. It's just fucking cool, man. I'm excited for the next one. The next Wu-Tang I do will be built for Cuban Links. That'll be the next one, especially since I learned that was essentially the summer album to this being the winter album within the same year. So they're kind of, I don't want to say sister albums, but a couple people mentioned that the production on Built for Cuban Links is like totally different, which I look forward to hearing. So that'll be the next Wu-Tang album. I just don't know when that's going to happen. Like always, I haven't even looked at January. Like January's got 4 Fridays, and I want to do 10 different albums. It's a disaster. For those of you who were upset with me during November and my not telling you, I'm feeling the agony now. So you get the last laugh on that one. Going into gray area, with Lil Sims. You know, I saw people say they like Gray Area more than Introvert. Gray Area is better. That's what got them into Lil Sims. And, you know, I agree. I don't want to agree, honestly. I love Introvert. I love what Introvert's doing. I love how it's, in my opinion, Little Sims progressing from Gray Area, being more ambitious, trying different things. Same thing with Inflow. But I understand the feeling that people have of, you know, Introvert's very dramatic. It's very, like, almost theatrical. There's just a lot sometimes, right? And then, too, with the sound, it has a lot more range, which is why I appreciate it so much. It's not narrow in sound, but the advantage of having narrow in sound, like Liquid Swords, Gray Area, you get this clean, concise album. 10 tracks, 35 minutes. They're all great. You put it on, you listen top to bottom, and you're good to go. You don't turn it off. I mean, honestly, I hate saying it because I said it with Control. And then Liquid Swords and Gray Area come through. All three of these are 10s just because of my own criteria of no skips. You put it on, you listen all the way through, and then you don't turn it off. You don't turn it off. Oh, and listen to it at any time. That's the other one. I'm sorry. Listen to it at any time. And I feel like Liquid Swords is that way. Gray Area is that way. I don't want to turn it off. Like, it pisses me off when I pull into work and it's not done playing yet. For both of them, Liquid Swords and Gray Area. Wounds, cool song. Or I'm sorry, not Wounds. Venom. I put it on a couple times because I was a little thrown off during the reaction. I can't remember why. Something had happened during the reaction. It like threw my brain off. But I listened to it a couple times loud. Fucking amazing. That production, that when that's loud, you can feel like a panic. And it made me start thinking about the title, Venom, because you've got Venom and you've got Poison. And the difference between a poison and a venom is that a poison you ingest, you know, if you ingest a poison. A venom is pumped into you. In that track, with that production and that panicked sound, it makes me think of how you would feel when you get bit by a venomous snake and you're starting to freak out and your heart is racing because you know this venom is just pumping through your body and going to start doing God knows what to you, you know, whether it's going to kill you or just leave you all fucked up or whatever. So it was really fun to go back and listen to Venom properly, not distracted, loud, just lay into that one. Sherbert Sunrise or Sunset really, really grew on me. I like that one quite a bit. Boss, I think, overtook Therapy to be my favorite track. The beat on Boss is just unbelievable. It's so fucking good. Same thing with Offense, too. Those first two songs, I love how Gray Area starts with just some good bangers. Some kind of, I guess this was grime, I understand. I saw a couple of comments saying you've heard grime now. I like grime because it puts me like adjacent to some of the distortion sounds that I like in rock and metal. So I like grime. Let's point me in the direction of some grime artists. I'm really interested in hearing some more of that shit for sure. But Therapy does have, what was it? Let's see, I wrote down the lyrics. Oh yeah, the drama with my man and he ain't striking the proper tone. Who do you think you are? Hung up, picked up the keys and drove to the bar. Really like that line. Really, really, really like. And then of course, you know, forgot where I parked my car and all that shit. But Therapy is such a great track. I love the bass line in it. I love how it goes from pronounced and thick to being like this backed off, muted sound. Inflow is fucking brilliant. Brilliant. One thing I haven't really focused on with my journey is I focus on the artists and exploring the sound and trying to understand what they're doing. And I've gotten really comfortable with the rappers that I like, but I haven't put that kind of focus into the producers yet. You know, if I was going to make a list of my favorite producers, Inflow is going to be way, way, way up there. I like what he does. I really like what he does. Excellent producer. Yeah. Unfortunately with Gray Area, because I did it for Monday, I spent less time with it. And then, of course, I got to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, I recorded it on Sunday. I listened to it on Sunday a bit. And then I've been working the last couple days. And so don't have a lot of notes. But really, really enjoyed Gray Area. I think Boss is my favorite, even though Therapy and Boss. Selfish, I had some people say Selfish is their favorite. Selfish is a great track. Venom is awesome when you crank it. Oh, my God, man. And then another thing I really like about Gray Area is just the pace. Comes in strong, backs off a little on Selfish, backs off a little bit more on Wounds, punches it on Venom, kind of backs. I mean, it's just got a good pace. Good pace. Again, her new album that came out, oh God, I want to react to it. I want to do that one. I want to do the new SZA album. I still got to do Forever Story. I haven't looked at January. I didn't want to. I don't even want to. It's a disaster. My life is in ruins right now. Total ruins. I think that's it. Great week of music for me. Oh my God, man. Going between Liquid Swords and Gray Area, fantastic. Friday is Future, I believe. I haven't looked at the schedule. I think Friday is Future. I'm pretty sure. DS2, that'll be cool. The deluxe album is the only one that's on Spotify, and I guess the final track, the 26-minute one, is him mostly talking and stuff like that. Someone was saying that it's important to understand. I might listen to that final 26-minute track. I guess there's a couple little tiny bits of sound, but not enough to ruin, spoil anything. And there was a really interesting comment or message I got about the album and how when you're reading the lyrics, it sounds like he's flexing, but you kind of have to consider the context or the way he's doing it, because then it puts it into question. Is he actually flexing, or is it almost like sarcastic in a way? So that's an interesting idea, and that's in my head. I'm going to let that simmer for a while. And I think for tomorrow, I'm going to spin Die Lit. It's been a while. I need to give that one another try. And probably Rodeo, maybe Astroworld, just to do some palate cleansing to get prepared for DS2. But I look forward to it. And hopefully I'm not terribly sick on Friday. We'll see how that whole thing goes. But whatever. And I guess that's it. We'll see you guys on Friday.